Let's get some analysis now from Chris Doyle, who joins me live from London. He is a Middle East commentator and director of the Council of Arab-British Understanding. Chris, it's really good to see you. Thank you for being with us on the program. I mean, what do you make of this talk of a ceasefire, of some sort of a deal to release some of the living hostages that are currently being held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinians being held in Israeli prisons? Israel is saying that they haven't agreed to anything. However, Steve Witkoff seems confident that this is going to come to life.
I think it's really difficult to determine the precise nature of what has gone on. You hear different things from different people. There's reports going around and etc. Who's rejected what, who's accepted what. It seems, for example, within Israel that hostage families are angered at the way that Netanyahu seems to have flitted between various different positions, at some point being optimistic and others not so. But at least we are in a situation where there is some degree of effort to get to that ceasefire, because that is entirely what is needed. But it really will require Israel to get away from the position that Netanyahu has long held on to, that he is in for a long military operation to utterly annihilate Gaza, to eradicate Hamas, not just to get rid of it in terms of expel it from Gaza. He wants to eradicate it, destroy it. That's the terms. And therefore, it's not in his interest to get a ceasefire deal. He might agree to some sort of pause if hostages are going to be released. But then why would Hamas agree to release hostages if it's not going to lead to some form of end of conflict? I mean, for Hamas, the hostages are their leverage. They are using them as such. They believe that they need only to release the hostages in exchange for, that end of conflict deal. It's not going to happen, like that. So possibly the best scenario is some halfway house where you get a limited period, talked about 90 days, 70 days, 60 days, with some degree of hostage release, some exchange of bodies, and some detainees from the Palestinian detainees released by Israel.
What does
But really,
what does this ultimately tell us about the leverage that the United States has over Israel, especially taking into consideration the pressure, the international pressure that was put on Israel to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza?
well, the United States has enormous leverage should it wish to use it. And I think at the moment we're seeing a little bit of that pressure. But let's be absolutely clear, if Donald Trump really wanted to, if he cut the pipeline of weapons and bombs to Israel, the economic aid, the loans, then I think you would see a very speedy change in the Israeli position. He's not prepared to do that, not least for domestic political reasons. Many of his backers are extremely pro-Israeli. But he is, it seems, willing to put on some, which is, a start. And it's more, on occasions than happened under the Biden administration, to be fair. So at least, we are getting all the indications that Trump wants to see an end of this. So that does matter, but I think he's going to have to do more. And he needs to be backed up also by Europeans, Canadians, Australians, and others collectively, so that there is a real clear message, not just to Netanyahu, but to the wider Israeli leadership, the Israeli public, that this is enough. The genocide has to end.
Chris Doyle, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour. I always appreciate your analysis.